Tea Time with Tara is proudly sponsored by BetterHelp. My journey with therapy has helped me navigate through life's toughest challenges, from anxiety and PTSD to my divorce, juggling ADHD as a single parent, and most recently, my psoriatic arthritis diagnosis. It's also been crucial in learning how to maintain a healthy relationship despite past traumas. When I lost my health insurance last year, continuing traditional therapy seemed impossible. But that's when I discovered BetterHelp. BetterHelp was there for me, offering accessible ways to cope with these challenges. It's a reminder that mental health care isn't only for crisis moments. It's an integral part of navigating life's journey. The support you need should be accessible at any stage, whether it's for personal growth, health challenges, or life transitions. Now let's talk about how BetterHelp can help you. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, like me, or if you're just a human who lives in this world going through a hard time, therapy can give you tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And that's an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area or by your health insurance provider. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online. It's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. Or in my case, it was less than a day. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in my description. It's betterhelp.com/teatime. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/TEA time. Clicking that link helps support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. As I often say on the show, finding the right therapist is a lot like dating. You might not click with the first one, and that's totally okay. With BetterHelp, you can easily switch therapists at no extra cost without the stress of dealing with insurance or network limitations. Reflecting on my journey, I realize how crucial a platform like BetterHelp can be, offering the flexible and supportive space I needed, especially during times when traditional therapy was out of my financial reach. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit BetterHelp, HELP.com/teatime. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this channel. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tea Time with Tara. I'm your host, Tara, and today I decided to do a solo episode to talk about love after trauma, betrayal, and hurt. I chose this topic because I've been on my own journey for years now. For those of you who are regular listeners, or obviously those of you who know me personally, you know that I've spoken a lot about my past traumas and a bit about my new relationship as well. If you're new here, a really high-level summary, yes, that is office talk. I can't believe I just did that. Anyway, if you're new here, I am a survivor of multiple instances of domestic abuse. I am also a divorced single mom of 2. I actually separated from my now ex-husband exactly 4 years ago as of the date of this episode's release. I have since dated a bit, kissed a couple of frogs, and now I've met my Prince Charming. But it is no fairy tale, so don't get it twisted. Today, we're going to talk about the journey of finding love after all the pain. So grab your favorite mug and get comfy. First and foremost, I want to emphasize that there is a broad spectrum of betrayal and trauma, ranging from personal relationships to larger societal betrayals. I want to also emphasize that the response to such experiences is deeply individual and heavily influenced by past experiences, your levels of resilience, as well as your support systems. So, betrayal obviously shakes the foundation of trust, which leads individuals to question their judgment and struggle to trust others or even themselves. This is something that I have struggled with quite a bit in my journey of finding my partner. And I mean, I still struggle with it now. I think at first there was this fear of, am I making a mistake? Can I trust myself? Is this person really safe? Especially because I've made the mistake of trusting unsafe people in the past. I was really kind of conditioned to not trust my own instincts anymore. And now it's more so that I am just having trouble trusting life and that things are okay and adjusting to that. But there's also the fear of vulnerability, the fear of being afraid of allowing yourself to be close to others. And that is obviously a defense mechanism that we use to protect ourselves from potential hurt. But ultimately, you are also preventing yourself from feeling love and joy. And that's a huge bummer, right? The whole point of doing this, the whole point of, I mean, I feel like human beings are just kind of meant to be around other people. We would lose our minds, truly lose our minds, if we were not able to be around other people. So it's really important for us to be able to have close relationships, even if it's not romantic relationships, but especially romantic relationships, because who we partner with has a huge impact on our mental health. Speaking of mental health, anxiety and depression are very common following traumatic experiences. As individuals cope with the aftermath of abuse or betrayal, we can experience things like anxiety, depression, and in more extreme cases, even PTSD. I have experienced all of these things, so I am familiar with the impacts, and they can be pretty ugly. I mean, I struggled for years and years and years with debilitating PTSD. It was to the point where I struggled with even going out of the house in crowds. I would physically have to put something over my head. So I wore a lot of sweatshirts so that it was less conspicuous. But yeah, that was a real thing that I experienced because I was so traumatized and anxious that it was hard for me to be outside of my house and around a lot of people. Trauma can also affect your self esteem and your sense of identity. It can often leave you feeling unworthy of love or unable to recognize your own value. Again, this is something that I have experienced. I got out of a relationship and felt like I didn't even know who I was anymore because I had let that person, and I've said this in a previous episode actually, when speaking about the abuse, I let this person get their fingers into my brain. And I started questioning my sense of reality. And so it was very, very difficult to come back from that and to accept myself and kind of be a person again who didn't hate myself. I went through a period of really feeling like I'm going to be alone. I don't deserve love. I am never going to be happy. I am better off alone. I've told myself all kinds of bullshit just to be able to cope with the fear, the pain. And I know other people who have also done similar things and thankfully have decided to, let their walls down and do the work and are very happy now. So we will talk more about the happy part in a little bit. I also want to add that trauma can actually manifest physically. Things like insomnia or changes in your appetite, either overeating or not being able to eat or feeling like you are able to eat, or even headaches and stomach issues, because our bodies respond to the emotional distress. I mean, I know that when I get really, really, really anxious, I start to get sick to my stomach. It's really important for us to validate our own experiences and feelings. You need to understand that it's okay to feel hurt and angry and confused or any combination of those things, because without allowing yourself to acknowledge that you feel those feelings, you're just avoiding them. And we can't avoid our feelings forever. They're just going to eat away at us and really do more damage than if we were to just face it. Facing it means becoming aware of how these experiences have impacted you, not just emotionally or psychologically, but also in your day to day lives and your relationships. I have found myself feeling so sad and depressed or anxious that I have treated people differently, and it has hurt my relationships with my friends and family, and even with my kids. It can really fuck you up. So it's okay to acknowledge that. It's actually critical that we acknowledge that, because that is going to be your first step toward healing. It's not weakness to recognize all the ways that your trauma or your pain has impacted you and your life and the others around you. But it is really courageous, because it is about recognizing the need for care, and it is the beginning of seeking the path toward recovery. With that being said, I invite you to reflect on your experiences and the various ways that trauma might have affected you. This might be through journaling or meditation. It can be discussing it with a friend or even speaking with a therapist about it. But it is so, so, so important, because these traumas can profoundly impact your life. And recognizing and acknowledging these effects is a pivotal step toward healing. Healing is possible, and you are not alone. And that's also really important to know. You would be surprised how easily true friends will forgive you for falling off or disappearing if you were in a fucked up situation. I have had to make my apology tour, and it was very uncomfortable at first. But once I realized that I had a wonderful support system and people who were like, yeah, man, you fucked up, but I love you and I'm here for you, and I'm not going to hold that against you. That was huge in my healing journey. After you acknowledge that it has impacted you, that's where you have to learn to be compassionate with yourself and to forgive yourself. Obviously, this isn't, hey, this is okay that this happened, because it's not. Betrayal and abuse and all that other bullshit is not okay. It sucks. It's not okay. And you never have to feel like it's okay. But it did happen. And forgiving yourself will really set you free. You can and should seek support, either through therapy, through support groups, or through speaking with people you trust, like your friends or family. I do a combination of therapy and leaning on my friends and loved ones, and that has worked pretty well for me. I have heard of a lot of people using support groups to work through certain traumas, and that has also been very helpful for them. So it's really a matter of finding what works best for you. I am always all about therapy because a therapist is an unbiased, like, third party. So they're not someone in your life with any sort of agenda, even if that agenda is just they want what's best for you. Obviously, your therapist does too, but they are able to see things much more objectively. That's my therapy soapbox. I will step down. Next up, we are going to talk about rebuilding trust and some strategies and examples for doing that. As I mentioned before, it's important for us to do self reflection. So, sitting in it, just really thinking about how the fuck did this happen? How did I get here? And figuring out all the ways that this person maybe manipulated you or took advantage of you or whatever the case may be. And sometimes that's really just, wow, this person really was a good actor. Or it could be, that person is fucked up and has their own shit. And maybe they didn't mean to hurt me, but they still did. And so all of those things are totally healthy. Sometimes you won't have answers. And that's also something that we have to accept. And it's not so much about why did this person do it, because we don't need to know the why. We just need to figure out what went wrong within ourselves and ways to avoid those types of situations in the future, right? It's really about recognizing your vulnerabilities. Or I can just say this, that there was a time where I was just so desperate to be loved and I fell for someone's love bombing. And so love bombing is exactly what it sounds like. It's when you meet someone and boom, all of a sudden they are all about you in like way too quick of a time. They are in love with you and want to be in a committed relationship. And for me, it was taking me on a trip and doing all the things, saying, you know, I want you to be my girlfriend and I love you. And I mean, it was after only weeks. And I had been through so much that I was just so excited to be loved. And so that's how that happened. That's how I let that happen. And I have since been able to forgive myself because that person is a master manipulator. And I know that I did not do anything to deserve it. You do not deserve abuse. You do not deserve to be cheated on. You do not deserve to be, I don't know, spoken down to, whatever kind of betrayal or abuse you have experienced, you did not deserve it. So please, please know that more than anything, you did not deserve it. Also, during this journey, you need to take care of yourself. Whatever it is that you do to love yourself and respect yourself, whether it is doing meditation or working out, or I like to write, I like to create. There are so many different things that you can do to take time for yourself and take care of your mind. And those things are also extremely, extremely important, especially during times when you are working through some really heavy stuff. During this time, make sure that you are recognizing and celebrating small victories as a way to rebuild your self-esteem and your trust in your own abilities. For example, I really stopped taking care of my body. I had back surgery and just kind of hated the way that I looked after because I was very limited in my mobility for quite some time and gained weight and stopped taking care of myself. And I started to work out. And even if it was just for 10 minutes, I would celebrate that victory because I worked out. And eventually that got me working out for longer and more frequently. Things like going to therapy and having a really good therapy session, going and getting a pedicure and just being like, yeah, I took care of myself. I did that for me. That kind of stuff is so important. So make sure that you are celebrating those small victories along the way. Another important thing, along with rebuilding trust within yourself, is to learn to rebuild trust with others. And so part of that is learning how to set healthy boundaries. Setting healthy boundaries is so important in creating healthy relationships because people who respect you will respect your boundaries. You can say no if something doesn't feel right, or if you just feel too fucking tired or don't mentally have the bandwidth. It's okay to say no. Like, I'm learning more and more to do that, to just say, you know what? No, I'm sorry. I really don't have the time for that. And that feels very, very liberating because I am not feeling so stressed out and pulled in a million different directions. I mean, sometimes we do have to overextend ourselves, but that shouldn't be the norm. If you are struggling with vulnerability, you can gradually open up to people. You can start with small, low risk disclosures and observe how they're handled, observe how other people react. And if trust is respected and reciprocated, that can be the foundation that you need to share more deeply. People who are trustworthy, like I said before, are people who will respect your boundaries, people who are consistent, people who are empathetic and communicate openly. You can start building trust with people who demonstrate these qualities. It just takes time to weed through the shitty ones. And I talk about this a lot, just really quick, deprioritizing people. You don't necessarily have to have this big breakup with certain people. It can just be a matter of not answering the phone every time they call and saying, hey, I'm sorry, I really don't have time to talk right now. And sometimes those friendships just kind of fizzle out on their own. But it's really important that you recognize when people are being good friends, people are being trustworthy, because friendships and relationships should be reciprocal. You shouldn't be the one doing all the work, and neither should they. That's also very important. So, when you want to talk to someone, it can be helpful if you touch base with them and just say, hey, I need to talk. Is now a good time? Or do you have the bandwidth, or something along those lines? Whatever language works for you. I do think it's really important to check in with the person that you want to talk to make sure that they have the bandwidth to give you the support that you need, and understand that sometimes people don't, and that's okay. It's not personal. Over time, you are going to learn to trust your intuition. It's kind of hard to describe it other than just kind of like this gut feeling, a sense of discomfort about a person or a situation. There's like almost like an inner voice in you that is saying, oh, I don't like this. This doesn't feel good. And you do need to trust that. I mentioned this on my last guest episode. Cordula, my friend, spoke about getting the ick from someone using, what is that, Gen Z? Using Gen Z language and just saying that if you get a bad vibe, trust it. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to give anyone your time or attention if it does not make you feel good. That is so, so, so important. Again, you can go back to mindfulness, meditation, spending time in nature, going on walks, just practicing being in the moment and really being alone with yourself and trusting your mind and trusting your body. Over time, it's going to get so much easier, because what's going to happen is you're going to be able to maybe make a small decision based on trusting your intuition. And when you observe the outcome, you're going to see that you are right to trust yourself. And that's going to build that inner trust. That trusting your intuition is so, so, so important. I cannot emphasize it enough, how important it is to trust your intuition. If something seems off, your brain is picking up on something that you are not conscious picking up on. So trust it. It takes so much strength to rebuild trust in other people and in yourself once it's broken. So be gentle with yourself, and it's not going to be easy. Healing is not linear. There are going to be ups and downs, and you might make a few more mistakes before you really figure shit out. But the important thing is that you are doing the work, and by doing the work, you are going to have a better outcome eventually. as long as you're being honest with yourself and with the people that you are trusting to help you through it. Now we're going to transition from talking about trusting yourself to talking about loving yourself. And self-love is something that is also not linear. I don't like the idea of if you don't love yourself, then you can't love someone else, because I do feel like sometimes love can teach us how to love ourselves, if that makes sense. Maybe I can elaborate a little bit more on that when I talk about my relationship. But it's really just about taking care of your body, taking care of your mind. And if there is any kind of spirituality that helps you to connect better with yourself and others around you and feel good, then those practices are also really, really healthy. Whatever helps you to feel good in your mind and in your body, keep doing it, even if it's just a couple of minutes a day. There are days that I don't have time for my usual self-care routine, and I had gotten into the routine of not doing that little bit of self-care and noticed that it really did affect my mental health. So I have started waking up earlier and kind of forcing myself to do it, to take care of myself, to have this little quiet moment of meditation and drinking my coffee before the dog is awake, before my daughter's awake, and the house is quiet. And I have this little bit of time to myself. And sometimes it's only 5 minutes before my daughter wakes up because she's realized that I've left the bed. But honestly, it saves my sanity. So whatever it is that you do to take care of yourself, make sure you're doing it, even if it's only a couple of minutes a day. Those are all little acts of self-love. When you treat yourself better, you are then better equipped to set healthy boundaries and enter into relationships where those boundaries are being respected. So again, self-love is not this like, I love myself, I'm so amazing, I'm so hot, whatever. It's really just the idea and the act of taking care of oneself in whatever way that looks like to you. The hardest part, I think, is taking risks. I think that that's the scariest part, and it can be really painful. Because by being vulnerable after experiencing betrayal or trauma, you are allowing yourself the possibility of being hurt again. But you are also allowing the possibility of a really deep connection and the possibility of love. And that's the ultimate goal, right? So take calculated emotional risks. As I mentioned before, this might mean slowly opening up to a friend or a family member, seeking new relationships with clear boundaries, or even trying new activities that foster self-expression and connection. I just want to emphasize one more time how important it is to trust your intuition when navigating new relationships, because your gut, your intuition is not lying to you. And people who aren't going to hurt you are going to be safer as far as, being more patient. You don't have to set really hard boundaries about certain things if you are just feeling anxious about being in a relationship. When you start dating somebody, you can just kind of talk to them about how you're feeling. It's a journey. It can be a long journey. It is not a linear one. There will be setbacks. I mean, as I said at the beginning, kissed a few frogs before I met my Prince Charming, but it's crazy. And I know that not everybody feels this way, but I kind of had this gut feeling when I met him that I knew him and that I needed to be close to him. And it's really interesting to see now, how much he has grown and how much our relationship has evolved in the last year and a half. But I trusted myself. I trusted that my feelings were right about him, even when he was having his own trauma responses and experiencing his own fear. I had moments where I was like, am I telling myself something because I want it to be true or because it is true? And it took me setting boundaries for sure. It wasn't just, oh, I believe this and I know this. It was much more complicated than that. but I trusted my intuition about him. And I also, as I said, set boundaries. And that is really how I knew that he was someone worth investing in, because he always respected the boundaries that I set. And sometimes he would challenge them. And sometimes there would be slip ups or new boundaries that needed to be set, let's say. And we talked about it. And it was like speaking with someone in a vulnerable way and saying, I felt like this when this happened. And then them saying, okay, yeah, I could see how you might feel that way. And then us having an actual dialogue from there about what the intentions were or whatever the situation was. The point is that he made it very safe. And if there was ever a time that he didn't make it safe, he corrected himself, and he didn't need to be told that he did something shitty. He knew he did something shitty. And I'm just saying, I'm using him as an example, but it's the same thing for me. I have also acknowledged my shitty behaviors, even if he didn't really, it didn't really bother him as much. Me saying, I'm sorry that I behaved that way. I was stressed out, but I should not have spoken to you that way or taken it out on you or whatever. And him being like, dude, it's fine. I get it. You were stressed. It's really not a big deal. But then me following up with, no, seriously, I don't want to be that person, and you didn't deserve to be treated that way. That is the kind of dialogue that we have created in our relationship. And I mean, again, it's not always like that. We do have arguments. I think having arguments is a perfectly healthy thing as long as you are doing it in a healthy way. And maybe that's something that I can talk about in another episode, because I feel like I will just wind up going on and on. But that's my story. I started to realize I was finally really letting my guard down with my partner, and with letting my guard down, a whole lot of fear started setting in. And where I used to be a primarily anxiously attached person, I started to behave in avoidant ways, because that was my mind's way of trying to protect myself. When I realized how deeply I love and care about my partner, and that's where we can self-sabotage. We can self-sabotage because we are feeling these big feelings and these wonderful, wonderful feelings of love and connection. And in the past, people have hurt us or betrayed us in some way when we felt that way. And so it feels like, well, if I hurt this person, or if I push them away, or if I shut them out, then they can't hurt me. Or sometimes it's, I'll hurt you before you hurt me, which is also really fucked up and terrible. But we all kind of slip into patterns as a way for us to protect ourselves. And the important thing is that you recognize it and that you communicate about it. So I did recognize that I was really struggling to feel safe in my relationship, and that it had absolutely nothing to do with my partner, because it was very easy when my therapist, I can't remember exactly what question it was, but it was something like, do you think that he would ever cheat on you? No. I had no hesitation whatsoever. I'm not sure if that was the question, but it was something like that. Every now and then, my therapist will ask me a question, and I do not hesitate to respond. Like, logically, I know. I have no doubt in my mind that I have a loyal and trustworthy partner. It's my mind that's lying to me. And so that's what I'm working on. And it has been really awesome in my relationship. I am also very lucky to have a very wonderful support system. So shout out to my awesome friends. I love you and I appreciate you, and I would be fucking lost without you. So remember, I'm telling you about my journey because it's messy. And that's kind of what it's like to allow yourself to love again. I mean, I was in a few abusive relationships, and then I got married, and that didn't work out. And I was devastated. Then I let myself get tangled up in someone's bullshit, and it really fucked me up. And so finding someone after that who was so willing to do the work, not just with me and on our relationship, but also within himself, has been best thing that I have ever experienced, truly. I cannot emphasize enough how awesome it is when you find a partner that really respects you and honors you and is committed not just to the relationship, but to you as a person, to your individual success and happiness and all of the things. It's not easy. It is not easy at all. So please, just because I rave about how much I love my boyfriend and how awesome he is, does not mean that he is perfect or that I am perfect. There is no such thing. There should never be that expectation. Nobody should ever punish you for fucking up, especially, when it comes to your trauma and trauma responses. You should never be punished for that shit. So be patient with yourself and find people who are willing to be patient with you, because there are people out there who are more than happy to put in the work to be with you and to love you and to make you feel good. And you should never fucking settle for anything less. And I am so lucky that I found that in my partner when I did, because I know so many people go so long without that. So that's that on that. I will not keep rambling on about this, but remember, trauma and betrayal can really do a number on our ability to trust and love again. And it can emotionally, psychologically, and physically fuck you up. So once you recognize that that's happening, that's when the real work begins. Don't forget to be gentle with yourself, forgive yourself, just look within yourself and understand things have affected you, and don't be a victim. I want to really emphasize that. Don't focus on that. Don't wallow in it. You don't need to sit in the sadness and the anger and the everything. You just need to acknowledge it, let yourself feel it, and move the fuck on. Because sitting in it and holding on to it is just going to hurt you and keep you from being happy. Remember to set boundaries and trust your intuition, because without those things, it's going to be very difficult for you to find your prince or princess or whatever the fuck, your person charming. Sorry, I'm very poorly trying to be inclusive. Before I leave you, here are some questions to think about on your own journey. What are the ways I have been practicing self-compassion on my journey toward healing? How have my experiences shaped my understanding of trust, and what steps am I taking to rebuild it within myself and in relationships? In what ways am I allowing myself to be vulnerable again? And how am I protecting my peace in the process? And finally, what does self-love mean to me, and how is it influencing my readiness to open up to love again? To everyone listening, remember that healing from trauma and opening your heart to love again is a testament to your strength and resilience. It takes courage to face your fears, to rebuild from pain, and to embrace the possibility of love in your life again. Your journey is uniquely yours. It's filled with its own challenges and triumphs. But know this: you are worthy of love and happiness. Don't fucking forget it. Embrace your journey with kindness towards yourself and keep moving forward one step at a time. You're not alone. You are never alone. And there is so much beauty and strength within each and every one of you. Keep believing in the power of your own healing and the love that awaits you. That's all for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to rate the show on whichever platform you're listening on. This really, really, really helps my show to reach more people. So the more ratings, obviously positive ones, that I have, the more people my show will reach. It helps it, I guess there's an algorithm that helps boosted up in searches and shit. Check out my website. It's currently teatimewithtara.godaddysite.com, but I am hoping to buy teatimewithtara.com if it becomes available again. Right now, I transitioned away from WordPress just because it wasn't really doing anything for me, but they are currently holding my, whatchamacallit, hostage, my domain. But in the meantime, it's the link in my bio on Instagram. Again, that is teatimewithtara.godaddysite.com. There you will find all the links to my social media pages, Tea Time with Tara merch, which I would love for you to buy and to wear and to send me pictures of you wearing it. Please tag me in it. I'm thinking of doing a little contest or something, so stay tuned for that. There are also deals with some of the brands that I've partnered with, so there are discounts that you can snag from that link page. Follow me on Instagram at teatime.tara. I am a millennial, so I use that the most. Trying to get better about posting on TikTok. My TikTok is teatime.with.tara. YouTube and Facebook are both Tea Time with Tara. So please keep following me, liking, subscribing, all that bullshit. And if you have any feedback, if you have any suggestions, if you want to be on the show or you want to suggest a guest, please reach out to me on one of those platforms. Right now, I do not have an email address set up for the show because I am still waiting to buy that fucking domain. So please stay tuned for that. I will eventually have an email address set up for the show again. I don't want to limit how you can reach me. That being said, thank you all so much for your continued support. I am so grateful for each and every one of you for keeping my show on your radar, for reaching out to me when you listen, for all of the words of encouragement and support and feedback and all of the things. Until next time, let's keep doing our part to change the world one conversation at a time.